We're here with Avi Savar, CEO of Big Fuel and founder of Big Fuel? Founder of Big Fuel, a Westchester Digital Summit veteran now, 2 years in a row. Thank you kindly.
Pleasure.
I want to hear a little bit more about what you guys are doing at Big Fuel and what's cool for you.
Yeah, I mean, we spent time talking about native advertising, right? And the dirty little secret is that native advertising has been around for a very long time.
Sure.
It's just something that is now taking center stage because of how publishers are evolving or need to evolve. I mean, look, consumers are, the habits have changed, devices have changed. The way that consumers are ingesting media are completely different today than they were, a year ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And so there has now been a shift towards this idea of like branded content. I mean, 12 years ago I was a producer, a TV producer, and I remember there was a constant battle between like ad sales and content, right?
Sure, yeah.
It was like a wall that the sales guys were trying to make the brands happy, and the editorial teams were, wanted no part of it,
Sure.
and the editorial
you
integrity.
guys can't drive our content.
Exactly, and I think those walls are coming down because there's a need now to save the industry in a lot of ways. And for better or for worse, that's where the world is going. I think we're getting into a place where over time, content and advertising will become indistinguishable to the consumer. I don't know if that's good or bad. I think that's just where it's going.
It just is. Yeah.
But I also think we have consumers that are more savvy than they've ever been, and I think they are able to find the things that are meaningful and relevant to them. And as a result of that, they're going to trust publishers who find the right balance, and they will veer away from publishers who don't.
Sure.
So, I think it's going to be an interesting, next few years as the world of branded content starts to shape shift even further.
How does that skew or drive or affect the work that Big Fuel's doing on behalf of your clients?
Absolutely. I mean, we've been in the content game from the day we were founded. I started Big Fuel in 2000. Oh my God, what do we do? Almost like 14 years. 2004.
Wow.
When I started Big Fuel, there was no YouTube, there was no Facebook. Facebook was in a dorm room, and MySpace was the cool thing.
Yeah.
Barely. So, and I founded Big Fuel on the principle of something I called content to commerce. It's the idea of building bridges between content and brands in order to drive results.
Sure.
And thankfully, I will say that mantra hasn't changed. Every article I write, in some way, or everything that I publish or talk about, in some way, I use the phrase "people stories to product stories," and the connection between people stories and product stories is what branded content needs to drive.
Sure.
Right. The world of features, benefits, unique selling proposition that we learned in kind of marketing 101 is a little different today. And we have to balance that between, my pen has more ink than your pen, or this toothpaste has more fluoride than that toothpaste, with what do consumers care about, right? What are the people stories that drive behavior? And as a brand, how can I make connections, provide some value, and build trust?
Yep.
And if I can do that in this new world order, then I stand a chance at staying relevant. And for us, that's always been a key driver. At Big Fuel, we are big believers in figuring out how to drive participation between brands and consumers. Really thinking about that value exchange of what is it that we're putting into the world that makes a consumer say thank you to a brand, that is the opening line that allows the brand to continue a conversation, to build trust, and then effectively drive commerce. So if you think about words like personal, relevant, value, these are words in social circles, social media circles that are thrown around quite a bit. That value exchange is, to me, very simple. It is about, I got to put something out there. It could be a video, it could be an article, it could be a tweet, it doesn't matter.
Sure.
Content comes in many different forms today, and whatever I put out into the world as a brand, if I'm thinking about it from a content lens, my job is to get the audience, the consumer, to laugh, smile, share, think differently, and as a result, they say thank you, right? And if I can do that, I have now earned the right to follow up.
Sure.
I've earned the right to talk a little bit more about my toothpaste, maybe. Right?
If you've done it properly,
Exactly.
right? Yeah,
Exactly.
with reverence for them.
Yeah.
Really compelling. Much harder than it sounds, than he just articulated.
Yeah.
Very difficult thing. So
Yeah.
congratulations on Big Fuel being so successful.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being now a regular at the Westchester
I appreciate it.
Digital
I hope I
Summit.
get to come
We
back
hope you
next
come
year.
back. Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely. Thanks,
Chris.
Avi. I appreciate it.
Definitely.